I have the speaker on in my office, and Erich is rehearsing. And I hear coming out of the speaker in my office the following: violins. Each and every one of you should go back to your teachers and demand a full refund. It's a good line, actually. The next thing I hear is the sound of an orchestra walking off the stage. And a harried personnel manager coming on stage and calling break, because this fortunately happened in the time when one could take the break in rehearsal. I go downstairs, really cursing Nick Webster for being out of town, and the orchestra committee meets with me and says, we will not go on stage again for the second half of this rehearsal without an apology. And I tried everything. I said, you know, first of all, there's nothing in the contract that says everybody always has to be nice to you. My boss sometimes snaps at me. His boss, the chairman of the board, sometimes, that happens in life. And in fact, you have to go back on. And they said, no, no, we're prepared. We know that you'll dock us the pay, and we accept that. We will not go back. We'll play the concert tonight, but there'll be no more rehearsal without an apology. Now, although I had just begun to build a relationship with Erich Leinsdorf, I really had no idea how I was going to go into that dressing room and tell him he had to apologize. As I said, this was all a new world to me. So I went up the one flight of stairs, and he told me, we've talked about this since, and he told me I looked green, and I was. I walked into his dressing room, still trying to frame the words. And he looked up at me and he said, Henry, you need an apology. Tell them they'll have it. I never said a word. I turned around, I walked back down the stairs, and I said to the committee, when the break is over, you go on stage, you'll have your apology. And I didn't even think about the implications of that until they started looking at me like, hey, this kid is pretty good. He just got Erich Leinsdorf to agree to apologize. They had no idea that I had nothing to do with it. And when the second half of the rehearsal began, he showed his true class. He said, ladies and gentlemen, I am someone who insists on civilized behavior. I have been guilty of violating that standard. I'm sorry. Let's make music. And that was the end of it. That's, to me, classic Erich Leinsdorf. Smart beyond belief. He knew the shape I was in. He knew I didn't know what to say to him. He just took it away and solved it all by himself.